Let's do a problem from your lab assignment. This is from section 2.1. Problem number 1. It says that a tank holds 2,000 gallons of water, which drains from the bottom of the tank in half an hour. So we're given values in the table showing the volume of the water remaining in the tank after t minutes. So we have the t time in minutes. So in 5 minutes we have 1,368 gallons. After 10 minutes we have 888 gallons, etc. So in the first exercise they want us to fix a point P. That's going to be 15, 510. That's one of the points in the table. And find the slopes of the secant lines PQ, where Q is going to be given by a bunch of different points. So first we're going to assume Q is equal to this, and then we're going to find the P value, or the T values. Okay. So the slope of the secant line is given by the change, or the slope between 2 points in general is given by the change of y divided by the change in x. And so if you have 2 points, you just subtract the y values, put that in the numerator, and subtract the x values in the denominator, and just making sure that the x value that comes first corresponds with the y value that comes first. So that's the only criteria that you have to remember. So we have V of t is going to be the volume at time t, whatever time it is we're looking at. And then we have the 510 is the y value of our point. And then t is the x value, and then 15 is the x value of our point. So we begin by calculating when t is equal to 5. So we're going to put 5 in for t into the function. Well, the function, we don't really have a function formula, but we have the table here, and when t is equal to 5, our function is 1368. So we have 1368 there. And then we have 5, t is equal to 5 minus 15. That's going to give us a negative value. And then so now we want to type this in our calculators or some sort of program. I'll use a calculator. And we have to be careful about doing this fraction, because the numerator is being added. So there's a couple ways of doing this. One way is to first calculate the numerator. So that's 1368 minus 510. And then press equals to get 858. And then we want to divide this by 10. We're technically dividing by a negative, but you can just divide it and then put the negative sign later, or you can put the negative sign now. So divided by negative 10, and then we're going to get negative 85.8. So that's our first one. Okay, so that looks good. And we'll follow the same process here. We have 888. And then this time we have 10 minus 15. So this time it's negative 5. And then so the round off. So to do this in one shot in your calculator, you can use parentheses. Let's clear this out first. Whoops. Okay, so you can use parentheses and say 888 minus 510, and then close the parentheses. This is your result, and then we'll divide by negative 5. So divide by 5 and then throw the negative sign. So that's 75.6 negative. Okay. Now, as we go on to the next problem, let's change it up a little bit. Well, let's fill in the blanks that we can fill in. And so this time t is equal to 20. So when t is equal to 20, the y value is 226. And then we have 20 minus 15 is going to give us positive 5 this time. Now let's try our graphing calculator, see how we would do this if we had a graphing calculator. So again, you can do this in one shot by using parentheses, and with the graphing calculator you can actually see what you're putting into your screen. So that's 226 minus 510, close parentheses, and then we use the divide by sign, open parentheses, and then we have 20 minus 15, which you probably could have done easily. But we'll put it here in our graphing calculator. And again, the parentheses is really important for us to make sure that we get the correct answer. And so we get negative 56.8. And then for 25, the y value is 52. So this is 52, 25. And let's put this, so you can do this in steps. Let's see, we go 52 minus 510. And then we have 25 minus 15, that's 10, so we can do that. We could probably do this in our heads, but you can say divided by 10, and it's a positive 10, so our result is negative 45.8. Negative. And then we have one more. I think this is just going to be 0, and this is 30. And so that's negative 510. So that's 510 negative. Oops. Let's try that again. So it's negative 510. We have our graphing calculator. You have to type it in as you see it, which is different from the scientific calculator. So 510 divided by, and this would be 15. And that's negative 34. Okay, so we have a bunch of secant lines. And then they say for part B, estimate the slope of the tangent line by averaging two slopes of adjacent secant lines. So if we do that, we are looking at adjacent to 15. So if we look back at our table, we have 15 here. The two t values adjacent to 15 are going to be 10 and 20. So with 10 you get 888. With 20 you get 226. So we'll use 10 and 20 for the t values. And then so the average, they gave us the average. We computed it earlier. So between 10 and 15 it's negative 75.6, and between 20 and 15 is negative 56.8. So those are the values that they're giving us here. And to find the average, you just add them and then divide by 2. So negative 56.8, and we'll divide this by 2. And so whatever we get here. So let's compute that. I'll do this in one shot using my graphing calculator. This is 75.6 plus, and then there's a negative, so let's add another parentheses here. And there's a distinction between the two negative signs. The minus sign, if you look closely, is a little bit bigger than our negative, which is the opposite sign. So you can put them side by side to see how they look like. Make sure you're using that negative sign to express a negative value. So we got 56.8. We'll close the parentheses. And so we'll close the parentheses for the numerator. So that's the whole numerator. And we'll go ahead and divide it by 2. So it's a negative number. It makes sense. 66.2 is a number between 75 and 56. So that also makes sense. We'll go ahead and submit that. Okay, looks good. Hope that helps.